Well, welcome back, guys. This is a kind of a special edition of the podcast here on the Ride Along. And one of the major brands that we have under the Porch Inspection and Real Estate umbrella is Guardian, which does so much to help home inspectors fund their businesses through credit card transactions and even something called Flex Fund, which offers an ability for clients to pay for their inspection in the closing process. So I've got the founders of Guardian here today, and Aaron Fuhriman and Ben Tolman. So guys, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks for having us, Brad.
I'm glad that we can finally hang out, guys. I know that you guys have been super busy on your side of things with Guardian. Lots going on. It's been a crazy first half of the year here in 2024. So first of all, catch me up on you guys, how y'all have been. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on with the families, but you've been busy mixing family life with work life here too. So Ben, how's everything been with you guys?
Yeah, life's pretty good right now. It's been a good summer so far, but yeah, we always like to mix a family hanging out with us a little bit when we get to go to a show and meet with inspectors and whatnot. Aaron, last time he was at a show, I think his son was out actually selling in the booth with him. So it is fun to actually mix family with business sometimes. So
yeah, it's fun summer. We've kids are all out of school, and it's kind of the off season for shows, but it's been we've had a lot going on at Guardian, a lot of new updates and a lot of changes, and now they're all kind of we got most of them implemented right before the busy season when inspectors are busiest over the summer, and so it's been fun to see some of those new features being used every day by our customers and see how it's changing their businesses.
No, definitely. Well, I mean, one of those things is that inspectors are definitely seeing an average revenue per inspection increase just since they've started implementing Flex Fund. So, I mean, can you talk about some of the successes that you guys have seen on that front? Just jumping right into it since you mentioned it, Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead. Right now the numbers are sitting at about $154 more per inspection that is run through Flex Fund versus those that are not. So it's just super exciting to be a part of a product that, for forever, Guardian, we were kind of, you might call us the necessary evil, right? Like everybody needs to accept credit cards as a form of payment. But so to have Flex Fund now in our portfolio of this product that is just making inspectors more money, it's just super fun to actually be a part of that product and just to see how inspectors are figuring out how to utilize it in a way that truly benefits their business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, how many? What's the percentage of Flex Fund transactions that inspectors are using? Basically, out of say they do 10 inspections, how many of those are going to be Flex Fund?
That's kind of a surprising number. We thought it would be more when we assumed if you offer your clients the ability to pay at close for free, that clients would all jump on that. The cool thing is that most of our inspectors using this, they offer it for free on every inspection. It's just kind of a value add. So 100% of their clients get that offer, but statistically, I think we're at like 7 or 8% right now, Ben. So
yep.
Roughly 1 out of 10 of your customers are actually going to choose it. But the great thing is you get to offer it to 100%. Everybody else gets to know that it's available. But when it comes down to it, they get the email that says, click here to sign. They click on it. There's the ability to pay with credit card. And just by habit, they'll do it. So you get to use Flex Fund to help upsell your services on every inspection. But in reality, only 1 out of 10 are going to actually use it.
But it's still great to have. I mean, because it's yet another thing that you can feature that sets your business kind of apart from everybody else. And I remember, the initial, I guess, kind of a thought when people were hearing that Guardian was bringing this up was like, well, we've been collecting payment up front for so long because, taking money at closing wasn't working originally. And it's like, well, no, we've literally reinvented the wheel in the sense that Guardian handles the acquisition of that payment on the closing side, and the inspector still gets paid. So that takes away any risk factor there for the inspector, which is huge.
Yeah, I mean, the earliest adopters to this product were the ones who were already doing it, right? Because they had experienced the pains that came with accepting payment at closing, right? Tracking down the customer after the fact, if it didn't make it to closing, having to track all the paperwork through, get a hold of the title company, waiting for 60 to 90 days to get paid. And so they were by far the most eager and most willing to jump right on board with this product were those who had already experienced the pains, which is what this solves.
No, definitely.
I was just going to say, the cool thing is it solves those pain points. But I think what most inspectors are surprised with, in the past, when they would say, yes, I'll let you pay at close, they did it really begrudgingly. None of them liked to do it. It was an agent asked them to do it. They wanted to keep that relationship with the agent. So they said, sure, I'll do this as a favor for you and your client, but they didn't like to do it. And so those ones that Ben were talking about were really excited that we were able to solve the pain points of tracking down the payment, and they got paid up front now, so they don't have to wait for payment and all of those headaches involved. But I think what surprised us and everybody else was how much easier it made it to sell ancillary services. When instead of doing pay at close the traditional way, you're doing flex fund where you're offering it for free as an added value. It makes it so much easier for their clients to buy more services from them. People are just willing to spend more if they don't have to pay for it today. And so when they did that willingly and they went to the agent saying, hey, I now offer this for free on every inspection, and they told their customers about it, it totally changed the way their customers thought about the purchase of the inspection. And it opened them up to being willing to buy a sewer scope or a radon or mold or whatever other ancillary services you offer, because they don't have to pay for it today. So that was, we hoped that's what would happen when we developed this product, is that people would spend more money. But in the end, like Ben said earlier, it's far exceeded what we expected, where inspectors are making $154 more on every inspection when a customer pays with Flex Fund, and they're making more money on the non-Flex Fund transactions too, because those other 90% that don't do Flex Fund, they were told that they could do it. And so they're still in the mindset of, I don't have to pay for this now. Yeah, go ahead and throw in the sewer scope, but then they pay with credit card in the end anyway. So not only does it increase your Flex Fund transactions, but it increases your non-Flex Fund transactions too, because you've taken away that pain point of having to pay right now.
No, definitely. And in addition to that, I think of like applications for this in the current real estate market, having inspected up in the DC area, kind of during that peak COVID bubble when everybody was waiving inspections, or you were having, there was 2 or 3 families where I did 4 inspections for them a piece, just because properties were getting snatched up so quickly. There were a bunch of people that were like, man, I don't know that I necessarily want to just keep throwing money at this. And so offering yet another easier and more convenient way to run payment, it could help to, again, alleviate things on the consumer side as well. And then thinking in the Florida market, where you have massively expensive real estate properties, especially in the Tampa area, there's some home inspections that you can't just put on a credit card, right? They're going to be several $1,000s. And I think you guys have really done some upgrading there to really kind of put the flexible in Flex Fund when it comes to different price caps and stuff for using Flex Fund. Is that correct?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably the number one thing that we were being asked for was the ability for a home inspector to choose when Flex Fund was being presented in a more automated fashion, right? So they've always had the opportunity to add it to an individual transaction as they wanted to, but that takes manual work on the home inspector side. And so allowing them to just set some settings that would drive that transaction in a more automated way. So we implemented what we refer to as a min-max threshold amounts that the inspector can set. And so now when they're dealing with a price shopper, or they're trying to upsell somebody, and let's say that they just got a shiny new sewer scope, and they want sewer scopes to be added to every single home inspection. So if their standard inspection is $500, sewer scope is $350, they can go in and say, unless my transaction hits the $850 mark, I don't want Flex Fund to even be presented. And so they know that they can be talking to every person that they talk to on the phone about adding a sewer scope and trying to sell a sewer scope. And when you do this transaction, that you can actually pay for this at closing. You don't have to pay me anything up front. So they're creating all those cues to that customer that, hey, you don't have to pay for anything up front, and especially when you add the sewer scope. But then if that customer chooses not to add sewer scope, transaction comes in at $500 for their standard home inspection, Flex Fund won't even be presented as a payment option. So that customer won't even have the opportunity to go down that road. No chance of that inspector having that cost for that transaction, where somebody might have heard like, hey, I want the ability to pay for my transaction at closing, but it's $500, and that home inspector doesn't want to have to pay the fee. He's not even going to see it. The customer's not even going to see it as an option. So really a cool option. It works for in the world of price shoppers, in packages, in driving upsells for individual transactions. All of those things become super easy for that inspector to kind of drive the conversation, drive the online scheduling, all of those pieces, just setting those minimum amounts where Flex Fund will even be shown as an option.
So it really sounds then like it's the whole goal here is putting more options in the home inspector's hands, both in what he's offering and the levels at which he's offering it. So you're really giving him full control over this thing in a sense.
Yeah, that's what we heard from the beginning, is they just want to have control. They don't want to have to be forced to offer it on a condo inspection, right? That's only $250. I mean, it's $50 to do a Flex Fund transaction. So inspectors want to know that they're making more than it's going to cost them to run this, and rightfully so. And so we wanted to make sure that they had total power and control when it comes to who, when, where, what, how they're offering Flex Fund. And they can do it anything from every inspection that I run is Flex Fund, to only inspections over $500, to only this package deal, or even it never gets shown to anybody and they just manually add it when they want to on specific customers. So total control in every way for an inspector, so that they know it's only being offered and they're only paying for that service when it's really benefiting them. And what we found is inspectors just really appreciate that control. They would get frustrated when an inspection would come through. They'd see that it was Flex Fund, and for them, maybe they felt like they weren't getting the bang for their buck on that specific one, and that just doesn't happen anymore. And even to the point where we've allowed them to choose which agencies can offer Flex Fund. So we've got some inspectors who really, they're saying, hey, everything's working good. I don't want to spend more money on a product or whatever. For whatever reason, they don't want to do it. But what they want is more market share. They want to get more agents sending business their way. And so what they'll do is they'll send messages out to their seller agents, agents who aren't currently sending business their way. And they'll say, hey, did you know I offer Flex Fund, or the ability to pay a close on every inspection? And then they only opt those ones in. The agencies that came on board because of the Flex Fund messaging, those are the ones that are their customers can choose Flex Fund, but the other ones can't. So really total control in every aspect for the home inspector to make sure that they're only offering it when they want to offer it. And that being said, the guys who are doing the very best at this, and we have guys that are doubling their revenue, making twice as much money when a customer chooses Flex Fund. The ones that are doing best at it are the ones who are offering it free on every inspection, knowing that sometimes they make a little less than they would have, but most of the time they make way more than what they normally would. And so they just offer it for everybody, and it really has benefited their business.
No, absolutely. And, one of the big things that I've really advocated for, and there's a lot of inspectors. I mean, I think of Harmony Brown with Greenworks in Texas. She's really hit home on this hard recently too, which is inspectors knowing their worth, right? And raising that average ticket price for each inspection. I know there's a lot of corners of the industry where there's still this race to the bottom, and yet that doesn't help anybody. We're in a kind of an economic era where we all recognize that inflation is what it is, and so we all need to be finding ways to grow our businesses, especially in a time such as this, right? So for me as a home inspector, it's still active in the field. I want to keep finding ways to raise my average inspection price. One, because I've put in the training and the educational side of things kind of behind the scenes, where it's like, I know that what I'm offering is valuable, and that should reflect in the pricing. And so what you guys have done is really given home inspectors an easy way to show that they're worth what they're being paid, and by raising that average ticket price. So that's huge. And that's all on top of the fact that you guys are still offering the best rates in the industry per credit card transaction.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's been fun to see this come to fruition and see how it's literally changing inspectors. We had inspectors who were really struggling, wondering if they were going to be able to keep their doors open, and they're telling us now, I'm doing fewer inspections, but I'm making more money than I was before, because they found ways to upsell their ancillary services to take an average ticket of $450, and now they're at $650, $750. I was just talking to a guy last week who's at $1,100 average ticket.
That's amazing.
He's killing it. He's doing way fewer inspections, but at $1,100 an inspection on average, you can do fewer inspections and make more money. And so now he's going after market share. So he's figured out how to make a really large average ticket. And now he's trying to get more market share, and he's crushing it.
And go ahead, Ben. What were you saying?
Well, I was just going to say, I was just reading in an online marketing trend post about the buy now pay later option that's taking over the market right now, and in 2024 it's expected to have over 93 million transactions go through buy now pay later options, right? It's just, and every year it continues to grow. It's becoming more prevalent in the market, so guys having the opportunity to utilize that as a marketing tool in their tool belt in the home inspection industry is becoming more prevalent, more market share for those guys who are offering it.
Man, so inspectors being able to make upwards of $1,100 per ticket is huge, which, I mean, the whole quest to being a home inspector and owning your own business is so that you can achieve that work-life balance and kind of build a business that funds the life that you want to have. And so doing that, Ben, I feel like you're going to see a lot more home inspectors that are going to be at some 116-degree soccer tournaments with their kids as well.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, that's great, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining here. Thanks so much, and looking forward to seeing all the ways that Guardian is continuing to help home inspectors make their businesses the best out there.
Thanks, Brad.
Brad, we appreciate it. It's been our pleasure.
Yep.